Hi, hello everyone. Long before I had posted a video about how to get a job in Austria, what's the salary, what are the benefits and stuff like that. And okay, now I got a job offer. I don't know where to start the visa process or how do I get started with the visa process. So that was a question a lot of people were asking me. And even before moving to Austria, I had a lot of questions about okay, how to get started, what are the certificates, what is an apostille. So a lot of questions were in my mind when I had to move to Austria, and then later decided, okay, let me wrap this up and put it in a separate video about how to get a work permit visa to enter into Austria. So I think this video will be very helpful to someone who want to move to Austria for a job. So this video is focused only on the skilled worker visa for a non-EU national. So for example, someone coming from India like me, how do they get started with the visa process? So this is only for the skilled worker visa. An important disclaimer regarding this video is about this video is purely based on my experience, and things were very different 10 years before. Things were different even during the pandemic 2020. Things were very different, and when I had to start before 3 years, it was very different. So things could have changed now. So always check with the embassy, check with the VFS, and check with your employer and act accordingly. So that's really important because things could have changed now, who knows. And in this video, I'm going to talk about a single person who got a job in Austria and want to move. And this video will not focus on your kids or your family moving to Austria along with you, because I will talk about that in a separate video. So once you get a job offer, now you have this job offer from your employer. How do you get started? So you can't start the process. The process has to be initiated by the employer. So in this case, there are two ways the employer can initiate. One, the employer themselves can start the process, or they can hire a consultation company, and through them they can start the visa process for you. So in my case, it was the employer who was taking care of everything about the employment, about the work contract, about the visa process and everything. So I can talk only about my experience on how my employer was helping me with respect to the work visa or employment process. Okay, in order to work in Austria, you will probably need something called a residence permit. So what is this residence permit? It is nothing but a legal document that is given by Austria so that you can live and work for a specific period of time. So that's called a residence permit. So this residence permit is a general category, and for the skilled worker visa, it comes under a name called RWR card. So what is this RWR card? It's called Rot Weiss Rot. So that's in German, but in English it's called Red White Red card. So this is inspired from the Austrian flag. So that's how they that's how they kept this name. So RWR card. So this RWR card is a skilled work visa, and its validity is for 2 years, and it has your employer name in it. Meaning you can work for this employer for 2 years in Austria. Once the job offer is released by the employer, the HR called me and they said, okay, here's the job offer, and in order to proceed further for the work visa, we need you to go through this point system. And they sent me this link, which I will also drop it here, and they said you need a minimum of 55 points out of 90 points for the skilled worker visa. And I was like, okay, but I never knew this, and I was super excited that I got a job offer, and now you're saying that I need to, I need to go through this point system and stuff like that. And they were like, don't worry, it's just a formal procedure to say that you're eligible for the work visa to convince to the local authority. But deep down, I was a bit anxious because what if I didn't fulfill the requirement of 55 points? So they have in the website they have this point system where if you have done masters, there are some points, where if you know English until B2 or C1, there are some points, and for every work experience you have some points. So based on that calculation, I got around 66 points out of 90 points. So my points were like about 66 points, and the HR said, okay, now we can go ahead with the work visa process. So for the work visa process, they asked me like a few documents, which I'll also list it here. So these are the documents they asked me for starting the visa process. And why do they need this document? Because they need to prepare an employment contract and also some legal documentation to be sent to the local authority here to convince them like why this is a skilled work and why they can't find a resource in Austria, why they need to hire someone from overseas like India or any other country. So these are the reasons they have to give in a form of documentation to the local authority to convince them like I need this resource from here. Okay, these are the documents that they needed, and in this there are few documents they needed an apostille. So what is this apostille? It was very new for me when I had to apply for this work visa process. So apostille is nothing but an international stamp of authenticity given by, in our case in India, it's the Ministry of External Affairs, New Delhi. So they say that, hey, this document or certificate is valid, and the signatures and the seal, everything is valid in this, for this document, and this can be used for the visa process. And why do Austria need this kind of apostille? Because Austria is not sure or doesn't know whether the document that you bring from India is valid or not, whether it is authentic or not. They don't know. So they have this standard called apostille, and they trust this apostille, and then you can bring this document and they accept, and then the Austrian government accept this kind of document. So that's why you need an apostille. Apostille is not only new for Austria, but also other European countries also needs this. So this is what an apostille means. So there are a lot of agencies to do this apostille service in India. So just search in Google like apostille services near me, and you will find a lot of agencies, and then you just have to reach out to them and then say that these are the documents that I need apostille. So this apostille is quite expensive because it has to go all the way to Delhi and come back. So it's quite expensive, but anyways, you have to get this apostille. So first thing they wanted is the passport. So first and last pages of the passport. The bachelor degree certificate, of course, this has to be apostille. Birth certificate. So every birth certificate, all documents, whatever I'm talking about here, has to be translated to English or German. So if it is in English, it's well and good, but if it's in your regional language, say Hindi or something, or Tamil or Telugu, it has to be translated to English because they accept only the English documents. So the birth certificate, which has to be apostille. The marriage certificate if you're married, and so that also has to be apostille. The passport size photo, so this is according to the EU norms, so make sure you go to the photo studios and tell them that according to EU standard we want this photo. And then the police clearance certificate, what you have to do is like log into the passport seva and then log in with your details, upload your documents, and then say you want a PCC, that means a police clearance certificate to work in Austria. So there is a lot of categories in that, and then you have to say which country, what purpose, and what certificate you want, and then you book an appointment with Passport Seva, and then you go to the nearby passport office, and then on the day of appointment you go there, take a photo, and then they'll send it to the nearby police station in about 1 or 2 weeks, and then you have to go to the nearby police station and then get that document. So that's called police clearance certificate. So that also needs to be apostille and in English. And the final thing is the language certificate. When they said the language certificate, I was quite confused. What is this language certificate? Do I need to learn German or something? And then they said it's just some certificate proficiency that you are good in English. And they asked me like, do you have some documents? And I said no. Later they confirmed that this is nothing but if your medium of instruction is in English, right from your school and college, it's well and good. So basically you don't need a language certificate unless and until if you haven't done your medium of instruction right from your school to college days in English. So because a language certificate is basically needed because saying to the government that hey, when he moves to Austria he can survive, he can talk to people, he can communicate to the people what in case of any emergency. So that's why they needed this language certificate. So these are the documents that they asked me to send it, and yes, it took me a while because the police clearance certificate took me 2 weeks, and other documents I need to get apostilled, so that took me again 2 weeks. So in about 3 weeks I sent all these documents well and good, and then in a few days they sent me this employment contract. Once I forwarded all these documents to the employer, they said, hey, we have started the process and we need about 6 to 8 weeks to get an answer from the local authority. And I was like, okay, fingers crossed. And days passed, and then they sent me a mail that hey, your work permit got approved. Now the Austrian embassy in India should have got a confirmation from the local authority here. And so this is what happens here. So the local authority sends 2 confirmations, one to the employer that hey, the work permit is approved for him, and another one to the Austrian embassy in India, New Delhi, that hey, this resource can apply for the visa to enter into Austria. So they sent 2 confirmation to 2 sites. So you need to get this 2 confirmation from your employer as well as the Austrian embassy in New Delhi. So I got it from the employer, but from the confirmation from the Austrian embassy in New Delhi took me a while. and now you have to wait for the official confirmation from the Austrian embassy in New Delhi to get your entry visa. So it took me around a month exactly, but in the mail they mentioned like it will take around 15 working days. But it took me about a month to get a confirmation mail from the Austrian embassy in New Delhi stating that hey, your work permit is approved. So get these documents ready and then go to the nearby VFS to apply for the entry visa, which is called the Visa D. And in that confirmation mail from the Austrian embassy, you will have this information like what are the documents that you need to be ready with in order to apply for the entry visa at VFS. So these are the documents that they needed, like they need your passport and they need your application form of the Visa D. So it has to be filled and you have to put a photo in that, sign it, and that also needs to be filled. The next thing you need is an EU passport size photo, as I mentioned previously, and then the next thing you need is a health insurance. So health insurance in this case is a travel health insurance. Travel health insurance, there are a lot of options in India. You can get it, and it has to have a minimum coverage of about 30,000 euros for the entire duration of the visa stay. So make sure you have a travel insurance for that. Next thing is a flight ticket. So here they mentioned that please book your flight tickets 1 month from the date of your VFS appointment. So say for example, if the VFS appointment that you have is on 20th August, they asked me to put at the end of September, like 25 as a flight ticket to entry into Austria. Because, and why do they need this? Because the embassy and also the VFS take some time to get your passport from your region to New Delhi, get it stamped, and then it has to come back to your home. So they need some buffer time. So if it's less than 15 days, it's going to be very tough for them. So they will specifically mention this in the email. Please apply or book the flight ticket 1 month after your VFS date. So that's what you have to take care. And the last thing you need is the printout of this email, because this is an confirmation from the embassy that hey, you are good to go to apply for the entry visa at the VFS. So these are the documents they asked, and then yeah, I took all these documents and then went to the nearby VFS. And in the VFS you have to give all your documents and also submit your fingerprints, and then yeah, you give your passport. Then they said you will get your passport with or without visa stamped in about 2 weeks. So but it was quite fast. I got it in a week, to be honest. I got the visa in a week, and yeah, it has this entry visa, the Visa D, to enter into Austria. And then I opened the Visa D, and then I saw the entry date, and also the validity as 6 months. Okay, so now all the processes are done in India. So now you have to fly to Austria. But before flying to Austria, just let your employer know that hey, I'll be flying on these and these dates, so that they can book an appointment for you to submit your fingerprints at the local authority here. So after coming to the Austria, you have to go to the local authority like the Department of Internal Affairs. So each city has its own Department of Internal Affairs. So don't worry, your employer will let you know at what place, at what time you have to be there, and then you have to just go there, give your documents for verification and submit your fingerprints, and they let you know that come in a week to pick up your residence permit. And a week passes, and then boom, you go to the same place, you pick up your residence permit card, and then now you can officially start working with your employer. So this is the whole process. It may seem tedious, but it's not as difficult as compared to other countries. So first initially you give your list of documents to your employer, and then they say your work permit got approved, and then you have to wait for the official mail from the Austrian government, and then go to nearby VFS, and then you get the entry visa, and then you have to come to Austria and then get your residence permit picked up. So these are the stages you need to go through to get your residence permit. So initially I thought I would make this video in my mother tongue, but a lot of people were asking me to do this kind of basic things about Austrian English. So I thought, oh, why not, let me give it a try. And then yeah, I hope you all find this video informative and you liked it. See you in another informative video. Until then, take care. Bye bye.